Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Saturday, March 16th, presented by Boston Hemp Inc. Ian Cameron. We have Zach Urban, who's with us every Saturday, and we have a friend of the show, viewer, listener. He has his own NHL show that he does as well. Terry Edelman, Minnesota Wild fan, supreme president, probably, of the Minnesota Wild fan club from the Ice Guys family. That's for damn sure. Terry, welcome in. I know you're filling in for Alex today under unfortunate circumstances. Alex's mom is sick. So Alex is going back home to Chicago, flying back actually this afternoon to be with Mom. We wish Mom Smith all the best and hope she gets better soon. But Terry, welcome in. How are you today?
Thanks. I'm pretty good. Happy to be here. I'm not going to be able to fill Alex's shoes. Those are big shoes to fill, but I'm happy to jump in and give my perspective on these games. We have a fantastic slate today. Like, to go from yesterday's slate to today's slate, it's like, wow. Couldn't we have had a few of these games yesterday? But hey, I won't complain. We got a lot of good games to talk about.
Well, we're going to rip through a very quick recap of yesterday. I actually love the slate because it went very well for me. So even with just two, it was bad from an entertainment standpoint. Like, they weren't the greatest games, but certainly from a betting standpoint, we did all right. We did all right with the two games on Friday. Zach, good to be back with you as well. How are things going out there in BC with you?
Yeah, things are good. Glad I could make it 2 in a row now after that little hiatus for a few weeks. So hopefully we keep rolling in all the way to playoffs. So yeah, happy to be back for another week.
But you also said to me before the show, like, you've also had a lot of shit going on, personal life, relationship, truck breaking down, our pets' heads are falling off. I mean, really, everything's happening for Zach right now.
Yeah, and I was out of town a couple of those times on the weekend too for some ball hockey and then that kind of thing. So it's been good.
Yeah, no doubt. The ball hockey, traveling ball hockey operation too. Zach's involved with that, and that's probably a lot of fun too. I'm sure you have a lot of fun with that ball hockey.
I think I might retire from ball hockey for a bit because I've never felt so like injured in my life from anything other than ball hockey. It's a hard sport on my body, at least. I don't know about other people, but for sure, takes a toll.
I'll tell you this right now: I'd last one game, probably playing ball hockey, and then I'd probably hang them up, call it a career. At that point. Just quickly on last night, best bet winner with Winnipeg first period puck line against Anaheim. They jumped out to that lead in the first period, and then it just basically the Avalanche kind of rolled downhill on Anaheim the rest of the way. It ended up being a romp for the Winnipeg Jets. And man alive, if you had the over in that game last night, over 5.5, my goodness, a late goal from Mason Appleton late in the third period, and the Jets do what I expected them to do. You know, they've been a good bounce-back team. We saw the way they responded after Bonus called them out against Vancouver, and then they responded by shutting out Washington. They didn't have a good game the other night against Nashville at home, and they responded last night with a very good win against Anaheim, 6-0, taking care of business against a team you should get 2 points against on your home ice. And then the other game last night, look, that's a tough one. And I had a piece of over 5.5, but I split it up with over 1.5 in the first period. So it's a split with the totals, but it should have been 2-0. That's a tough beat. It's 5-0 LA, basically halfway through the hockey game, and nary a goal the rest of the way. And it ends 5-0 for Los Angeles. I know Alex had the team total on the Kings. That was a good call. And look, he's not an Arvid Soderblom fan, and you can see why. Nights like last night where it's just not good. He's off his angle. He's overplaying the puck, overplaying the shooter, leaving too much of the net open. It's just his fundamentals are flawed. His feet are like Carter Hutton was on the show weeks ago, and he said it right then and there about Arvid that his feet are all over the place. He's just very, very, he's very, very happy feetish, if you will, in the net right now for the Chicago Blackhawks. And that's a problem and not his best game last night. LA played a good game. It was a big bounce back for them. The St. Louis game was not good. So that was kind of a game they had to take care of business against Chicago, and they did decisively, 5-0. Terry, any thoughts from you on last night?
Yeah, the first game I had Josh Morrissey assist. Apparently I could have had 2 or 3 assists as well because he just went off. So that's been a nice plus money winner. And then in that Hawks game, bad read there for me. I had Hawks plus 1.5. I thought that potentially that could be a close game, but it was not. So that was a loser there for me. But 1 in 1 day in the NHL, very small card for me yesterday. Not so much today. I have so many bets, it's not even funny. So
Yeah, that makes and if you think that you got a lot, imagine me with Mr. High Volume that I am. It's just absolutely incredible how many wagers we've got in place today. And again, it is a loaded NHL slate on this Saturday. We've got 14 games on tap. Zach, I know you don't get to watch a ton on the Friday night slate, but anything you want to mention about it?
Yeah, I didn't catch any of other than the box scores. Kind of what is expected in a sense. Agreed a little bit with Terry. I thought Chicago might have had a little bit closer of a game. I didn't have any money in play, but yeah, I didn't watch any of it. So glad those teams got the win, and I'm excited for these first couple games this morning and how meaningful they are.
And they are, and we're going to get right into it, and we will begin. This is the first of 2 games that are about to start in about 15 minutes, 12:30 Eastern. Buffalo Sabres, Detroit Red Wings. It's a rematch of a game earlier this week, and I loaded up on Buffalo earlier this week against Detroit. Moneyline team total. We had the over trifecta in that game. Swept the entire game. It was one of the best results of the week for me, honestly. And I'm not involved or invested in it to that degree here today in the rematch. But we do have a couple of plays here. Buffalo minus 125, road favorite, 6 the total. Now, I loved Buffalo earlier this week when they played Detroit. It was the Tuesday night when we had our Patreon exclusive live betcast. I thought they're surging. Detroit is reeling right now. They have a chance to jump on this Red Wings team. They were 5 points back going into that game. It was an important night for the Buffalo Sabres to get 2 points against Detroit, and they did that in blowout fashion. This game, I'm not as convinced with Buffalo. I'm back on the Sabres again, but with not even close to the level of confidence that I had in them earlier this week. It is a revenge spot, short turnaround for Detroit, but I'm at the point with the Red Wings now, especially after what I saw against Arizona the other night. A team that's won, 2 or 3 hockey games in their last 20, and they lose at home to the Coyotes. I'm at the point with Detroit where it's like, show me you can stop this losing streak. Prove it to me, before I'm ready to put my money on you. Show it to me right now in this point in time. So, when I look at this matchup here, and Buffalo is still trailing Detroit, and so it's not like Buffalo got their 2 points earlier this week. They're happy. They're satisfied. They're content. They're going to not show up and be ready to get another victory here today. And like I said, Detroit's just a mess. They're not defending. The goaltending has totally taken a fall for them right now, especially Alex Lyon, who, again, we've talked about this, Alex and I, for weeks now, this theme that he's just playing a lot of games, way more than ever before, and he hasn't been sharp. And I know they're giving him a rest today, and I think it's about time. But it's not like James Reimer induces a shit ton of confidence. He can be great. He can be awful. It's a high degree of variance whenever James Reimer's in net for the Detroit Red Wings, and he is the starting netminder. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, we rhymed off the numbers yesterday, how he's got like this .930 save percentage, top 10 in high danger chances and goals saved above average since the new year. He's been great. He's clearly established himself as the guy right now in net for the Buffalo Sabres, and he's been a big component of them getting to themselves to a point where they're back in the playoff mix. So I'm going to take Buffalo, smaller than obviously earlier this week, but I like the first period over and the full game over, and I especially like the first period over. I think if you look at Detroit, they've kind of been trending that way as far as first periods. We've seen a lot more of their games have goals early in the game, so we've got a piece of Buffalo, piece of first period over, which is probably the bet I like the most in this game is that first period over. And I also have a little bit over 6 here, Sabres and Red Wings as well. Zach, we'll start with you on this one. What do you think, Buffalo, Detroit?
Yeah, this one's a little bit tough for me. Obviously, the Red Wings have been spiraling a little bit out of control right now and really hurting without Larkin. You look at the past schedule here, I don't think you would have thought they would have lose 7 in a row here. So I'm a Wings guy too, so I'm not gonna pick a side here, but I agree with you. I really like the first period over. I think if Detroit's gonna have a good game, they're gonna get off to a good start, and they do have a pretty good record at home. But Buffalo has a pretty good counter record on the road, actually. So I think it's gonna be a good spot here for the over in the total game as well. So I'll jump on that, but really hope that Detroit can kind of turn things around. They haven't won a game since they got a jersey sponsor, so maybe that's their curse. That's what I saw today on Instagram or something. So I thought that was kind of funny, but Buffalo's surging too for the playoffs, so I think it's going to be a good game. But yeah, I can't pick a side on this one.
Yeah, I actually did not. I've not. I don't hate it. I have not played the first period both teams to score in this game. I've laid off it because I get the sense this could be either 2-0 Buffalo or maybe Detroit snaps to attention. And they actually have been pretty solid in these early start matinee games, especially at home. I still have that St. Louis at Detroit game weeks ago in my head. Remember, it was a 12:30 game, and Detroit just destroyed St. Louis in the first period, and it was over in the first period.
Right away, yeah.
And right away they jumped on the Blues, and that's why I like the first period over, because I do think we've got a pretty good chance early in the game to get you 2 goals here in the opening salvo, the opening 20 minutes. Terry, what do you think here, Sabres, Red Wings?
Yeah, this Red Wings team, they're in trouble. Losing Dylan Larkin, his leadership in the locker room, obviously his on ice play. I think that's a big contributor to why this Red Wings team has gone downhill. And the Sabres are on the complete other side. They are looking at the playoffs, and they don't want to miss the playoffs 13 years in a row. The Sabres fans, obviously Real Deal Prime in the chat. Sabres fans really want the Sabres to do it this year, and they're trying their best. The players are playing their best. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, fantastic. The Sabres 5-1 in the last 6 meetings between these teams, 6 in a row going over 7.5. So I can see why you guys like the over. I'm nervous to play an over with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, but I will take the Sabres money line. And then I'm also on Bowen Byram over half a point plus 150.
Yeah, you have to be on that. You have to bet that. That price is pretty crazy. Plus 150. I agree. Totally.
Yeah, since he's come to the Sabres, and I think Bowen Byram has been a big reason why the Sabres have played well during this stretch also. I think he's happy to be here. Point in 3 of 4 games, plus 150. I'll take that all day. And then another player I would look at would be Zach Benson. He's got 2 or more points in back-to-back games. So that could be someone to look at. And Lucas Raymond goals in back-to-back games for Detroit. But I like the Sabres here. This Red Wings team, 7 losses in a row, all by multiple goals. I got to see them bounce back before I can believe it. So Sabres money line, and then Byram over half a point.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time when I'd bet situational spots and say, okay, this team, is going to snap out of it today. They're ready to have a good performance. And I find more often the last year, and especially this season, when you look for those spots where you think maybe a team's going to finally snap out of it when they have given you no evidence and they're on a massive losing streak, I find I haven't done as well with those type of looks, those situationals. Like situational does point to Detroit here, but for me, it's just show it to me first, because you could have argued, hey, situational said beat Arizona at home the other night. They couldn't do it. So from that standpoint, that's exactly why I'm thinking, let's see them step to the plate with a good performance here before I'm ready to back them. And I agree with the Byram prop. And Zach Benson, who I cashed another goal prop with him, I know, against Detroit early this week. This guy is starting to percolate. You're still getting really good prices for him to find the back of the net right now for the Buffalo Sabres. So those are the 2 favorite props. Plus 550 at PointsBet for Zach Benson to score a goal. And like I said, for the Buffalo Sabres, Bowen Byram, plus 650 to score a goal. Why not? Plus 215 to get an assist, plus 150 at Bet365 to get a point. And if you're really, really adventurous, you could go as high as plus 550 in some spots for over 1.5 points for Bowen Byram, who has had multiple multi-point games since he's joined the Buffalo Sabres. So those are definitely some props I'm going to sprinkle on here for this early start affair, which again will begin in just a few moments. All right, next up we've got the Ottawa Senators, New York Islanders. The Islanders rather minus 170 home favorites here. Total 6 shaded to the over here. UBS Arena, early start in Long Island. Now this is a little bit of a bad situational spot. I believe it's Malinsky special for being against the Islanders here, coming home off that very long road trip. It's a weird dynamic where they were out west, and then all of a sudden they have that one pit stop in Buffalo where the Red Hot Sabres beat the Islanders the other night, and now they're finally back home after that road trip, that 4-gamer. It was 3 out west, then the pit stop in Buffalo, and now they're back home. So usually that's a bet against spot. Do you trust Ottawa, though, to take advantage of it? They have won 2 in a row, Ottawa, but you also have to look at the fact that the wins were Pittsburgh and Columbus. So, you have to factor that into the equation. This is definitely going to be a step up as far as the Ottawa Senators here are concerned in this game. I actually bet this at a better price. It's gone up a little, and I don't normally lay a juice like this, but I did bet small the Islanders here, minus 155. And I didn't want to mess around with regulation or -1 or buck line or anything. This is just win the game, whatever it takes to win the game, regulation, overtime, shootout, win the game if you're the New York Islanders, because you need it. You've got all kinds of teams now right on your tail. New Jersey, Buffalo, even Pittsburgh, we left them for dead, and they're only 5 points behind, and they've got games in hand on everybody. So even the Penguins, who we've basically just completely written off, are not completely out of the mix yet. Do I believe they're making it? No. But, they're certainly mathematically still in the mix. So this is important here for the New York Islanders. So a rare Ian instance where I laid a little bit more than minus 150 in this game with a favorite. I don't do it very often. This time of year, I'm more willing to do it because the games are so tight. Islanders want to just win the game. If it takes overtime or a shootout, they're happy to go that route as long as they get the 2 points. So from that standpoint, Little Islanders minus 155. Just a small play here for me on this one. That's all I have on this game as far as side or total. Zach, how about you? Senators, Islanders.
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard to back the Senators here, even after winning 2 in a row. They're one of the worst teams on the road in the NHL, and Islanders are in desperate need of a win. So I'm going to go with the Islanders in regulation. I don't think they're going to overtime as much since Patty Waugh's taken over. So I don't know if that's just a coincidence or not, but I think the Islanders are going to get the win today. So I'm going to take them with the regulation win.
Islanders in regulation for Zach. Terry, how about you here? Ottawa, New York Islanders.
One of the few games that I'm passing on here in this one. This Islanders team, they had a really hot stretch, but obviously they're horrible in back-to-back, so that's why they lost against the Kings. Horrible spot in Buffalo. This isn't necessarily the best spot either, but I want to see what happens with this game before I'm ready to bet Islanders games. I'm just not quite sure what to make of them right now. So I want to watch this game. Islanders 6-1-1 in the last 8 meetings. So they've had a lot of success against the Sens. Sens have gone overtime in 3 of 4 games. So I don't know. Is the Senators team going to get a little hot here at the end of the season? I'm not sure. So this game, I'm just going to pass on.
Yeah, fair. Nothing wrong with that. It is a little bit of a tricky one here for this early start affair, especially with what the price is here on the New York Islanders. Like, you're getting them in this price range, and it is still the Islanders, where sometimes you know what it can be with them. They don't always win easily. They don't make it easy on themselves or their fans, or in this case, their backers. And especially when you're laying a price like this, it can be a little tricky to do so. But this is one of those rare instances where I am going to try doing just that. All right, next up, we've got the New York Rangers taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is the ABC game, by the way, nationally televised affair with Sean McDonough and Ray Ferraro on the call for ABC this afternoon. The New York Rangers minus 140, road favorites. The total in this game, 5.5 across the board here in this matchup. You look at Pittsburgh, good win for them against San Jose. But it is San Jose. Let's remember that. And before that, this team had lost a bunch in a row and looked pretty awful in a majority of those 4 losses in a row. Still just 2-7 in their last 9 games. Now they play a New York Rangers team that is coming off a game that I don't think is going to sit well with them. They lost 6-3 to Tampa. They started out well, up 2-0 in the first period of that game. And then the Tampa Bay Lightning just capitalized on a bunch of chances. And Braden Point just decided, I'm going to dominate this game, and I'm not going to allow our team to lose. What a night for him. 6 points, 3 goals, 3 assists in the victory against the Rangers. So New York looking to bounce back here in this one. Bottom line for Pittsburgh is I don't trust him against any good team. I don't. Okay, show me you beat someone good. I'm interested. I'll lay the modest price here with the Rangers here, minus 140. Little smaller look on the over 3.5 for the team total here. In this game as well. So, like I say, Pittsburgh beat San Jose, big fucking deal. Beat someone good. They haven't done that in a very long time. What do you think here, Zach? Rangers, Penguins? Muted.
I'm on the Rangers side for sure here. I think they're gonna have a bounce back game. I'm gonna take them in regulation. I also think if Pittsburgh's going to do anything, I think Crosby's going to have something to do with it. So I'm going to take him with the anytime goal at plus 145. I think that's good value with him at home. And it's crazy to think what's kind of been going on with Pittsburgh in the last few weeks and all the talk about the trades and then, it finally happening. So kind of feel a little down for Crosby because I feel like it's weird seeing him in this position in his career, but hopefully Pittsburgh can maybe have one of those quick rebuilds and he sticks around for the rest of his career. But yeah, I'm going to side with the Rangers on this one.
All right, liking the Rangers here. The price, is minus 140. It's not a great price, but like I said, considering Pittsburgh, we did lay a price bigger than this last week with Edmonton against them. But like I said, with Pittsburgh, I watched a lot of that San Jose game because I took San Jose team total did hit, but San Jose money line didn't. They were still very sloppy with the puck, giving up odd man rushes, giving up breakaways. They're just lucky they faced a bad San Jose team and Magnus Krona in net, and they lit them up, which was the worry all along, which is why I like the overs in that San Jose Pittsburgh game. Let's see if they light it up today. The reason why I have faith to take the Rangers here is because they're off a bad game. I expect a response here from this Rangers team after what happened against Tampa in the last two periods down in Florida. What do you think here, Terry? New York Rangers, Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's funny. We got Rangers money line. We got Rangers in regulation. I'm on the Rangers in the puck line, plus 185 for the big plus money. I like Rangers to take it to Pittsburgh here. Yes, they beat San Jose. Congratulations. You ended your losing streak. This Rangers team is going to be pissed off. They had that lead against Tampa Bay. They let it get away. The Rangers have had a lot of success against the Penguins, 6-1-1 in the last 8 meetings. I like the Rangers to win this handily. So give me the Rangers puck line. And Vincent Trocheck has been a parlay piece that I've been cashing on. Points in 11 of his last 13 games. Chris Kreider has a point 5 games in a row. So he's been playing very well. And of course, if you're going to take Trocheck, you can put Panarin in there as well. Because when Trocheck gets a point, most of the time Panarin's there as well. But yeah, I like the Rangers here by margin.
Yep. So there you go. Yeah, like I said, and it's going to be a popular side. I get it. Popular sides win. Popular sides win in the NHL. Popular sides win in the NFL. Popular sides win in the NBA. That argument doesn't do anything for me. And if Pittsburgh wins tonight, I'm not going to say, well, the Rangers lost because it's the popular side. That's the biggest bunch of fucking nonsense that I will ever hear. That's not the reason Pittsburgh wins. Pittsburgh wins today because the Rangers played like ass, played bad. That's why. It's got nothing to do with who's on what and who's bet what. Simple as that. And as far as this game goes in this one here with the props, Jack Roslovic, talked about him. He's getting that opportunity here on the first line right now in this situation with the Rangers. And look, he finally got on the board playing with Zibanejad and Kreider the other night. And I think there's still value there on his props. Vincent Trocheck, we've mentioned him a lot as well. I think if you're going to look at someone for Pittsburgh, I'm going to mention Bunting and Rust again, flanking Crosby on the top line. They're probably both worthy considerations here as far as props going into this game. And Bunting in particular starting to fit in nicely here with the Penguins up on that top line. So definitely I think it's a situation where even though I like the Rangers in the game, there's still some good options here as far as Pittsburgh is concerned in the prop market. All right, this next game is the final game of the afternoon portion of this Saturday card. We've got the New Jersey Devils taking on the Arizona Coyotes. New Jersey minus 165 road favorites. The total in this one 6.5 shaded to the under. Be so New Jersey to beat Dallas 6-2 the other night. Go to Arizona and shit the bed and lose. It would just be so New Jersey to do something like that. Now, I can't make heads or tails of this game. It is Arizona coming back home off of a road trip here in this spot. It's not the easiest situation. You've got New Jersey, very erratic bunch still. That being said, the one thing they've done under Travis Green, well, until the Dallas game, Dallas was the first good team that they have beaten since the coaching change. But the one thing they did do is they did beat the weakest team of the bunch that they've played. They've actually had a very tough schedule since the coaching change. Florida, St. Louis, Carolina, Rangers, Dallas. Very, very brutal schedule. But the weakest team of the bunch was St. Louis, and they beat them 4-1. So this, in theory, should be a game New Jersey can win, and they better think about winning it, considering the fact that they need every point they can get now as they try to maintain any sort of playoff hopes. I'm going to sprinkle on the draw here in this game. There's things that do stick out to me as far as the draw is concerned, including back-to-back head-to-head meetings have gone past regulation. Last March here in Arizona, the Devils won 5-4 in overtime. Earlier this year in New Jersey, way back in October, early in the season, it was Arizona beating New Jersey 4-3 in a shootout. So I think this game's got a chance to be close. Arizona, the one thing about them is, especially at home, they're a bit more competitive. They shut out Detroit 4-0 at home, their last home game. They actually, the only team they've beaten is Detroit in their last 6 games. They lost to Minnesota twice, Chicago twice in the other games. Funny, they played Chicago twice, Minnesota twice, and Detroit twice in their last 6 games entering this one. But I just don't have faith in New Jersey here being consistent enough. And we do have that series history to bank on here, that we've seen back-to-back games between these two teams go past regulation. So going to go with the draw, and I'm probably going to go with an over trifecta here. I do think there's going to be goals. This is my first over trifecta. I'm on the over bifecta in Buffalo, Detroit, but I am on the over trifecta here. We've seen 5-4, 4-3, and 6-2 in 3 of the last 4 meetings between these two teams. And I think we'll probably see a good deal of offense here in this matchup as well. So that's what we'll rock with here. Over 1.5, both teams to score first period, and also the over for the.
Oh, looks like we lost Ian.
Yeah, he must have internet issues.
All right, well, I'll have my take now then, I guess. So I'm with Ian on that one with the over. I think there's going to be a lot of goals in this one for sure. I'm looking in the chat. Someone was saying Jake Allen's in net. I think that's what I saw expected too. So I don't know if that'll have anything to do with it. But I also like highest scoring period to be the second period. Not really anything to back that, just something that I'm playing today. So I don't really play those often, but I feel like it might be a little bit of a slow start and then second period really open up.
All right, there we go. I'm back. But yeah, just to recap in case I cut out there, draw over trifecta for me in this game. Terry, what do you think? New Jersey, Arizona.
Yeah, I like the over 6.5 in this one. Both teams trending towards the over. Ian, as he said, they've played over in the past. No confirmed goaltenders here. I see people in the chat saying Jake Allen's confirmed.
Jake Allen's coming. I'd be shocked if they don't give him another start, Terry, because he did play good in the last 2 periods against Dallas, but he's fired up. It's his first game with the Devils, his first start. I think they kind of dug in for him and say, hey, let's win for Jake Allen here. He's a veteran guy. We like having him around. He's a good in the dressing room guy. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy for one game. Let's see you do it again, because this guy's had a pretty bad season here.
Yeah, I agree. And this Arizona Coyotes team, you can't just come in here to Arizona and take them lightly and think this is an easy win and you're fine, because they have been scoring goals. So I like the over 6.5. Timo Meier, anytime goal in 6 of his last 7 games. Can't not play that. Nico Hischier for a point is a great parlay piece. He's got one in 7 of his last 8 games. And then for Arizona, Nick Bjugstad, a goal in 4 of his last 5. Plus 210, I believe, for Bjugstad. A great price, and he's been lighting it up. So I like goals. Give me goals.
It feels that way to me, definitely. And again, we've got series history pointing to that as well. No question about that. So we'll see how this one plays out. But as far as I'm going back to Logan Cooley. Logan Cooley is on. There's nothing cool about Logan Cooley. He's hot right now. Logan. That's what he is. Logan Cooley here in this one. So definitely I'm liking his props here in this matchup for Arizona. He's been good lately. For New Jersey, right? Timo Meier has definitely had his best stretch of hockey, no question, with the New Jersey Devils since he's been there. So definitely could look in that direction. Dawson Mercer's streaky too, and he scored the other night. And sometimes he gets one, he gets some in bunches. So maybe you look at a Dawson Mercer here for the Devils tonight as well in this game against the Arizona Coyotes. And again, we're not talking about Grant Fuhr versus Marty Brodeur in net here in this game. This is likely going to be Jake Allen and Connor Ingram, who's not been obviously nearly as good back half of the season as he was earlier in the season for the New Jersey, for the Arizona Coyotes. All right, next up, even though Tampa's had an up and down season, the Battle of Florida is always a must-see viewing, and we've got it once again here tonight. The Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Florida Panthers. We've got Florida minus 170 home favorites, 6.5 being the total here in this game. I don't know. For some reason, I'm not totally feeling Florida in this spot at this price, especially minus 170. That being said, they've totally owned the Tampa Bay Lightning here in recent meetings. That old, the days are over where the Tampa Bay Lightning are the better team in this state. The Florida Panthers have clearly shown that the last couple of seasons, and I think they take great pleasure in beating the Tampa Bay Lightning repeatedly. But, you look at this spot here. They're off a road trip here, which ended against Carolina the other night with that was the first game in a while where Florida just didn't have it. Physically, they didn't have it. Okay, they had nothing in the tank. It reminded me of Vegas the other night against Calgary, where it was flat from the start. It was trying to get the engine revved up, and they just couldn't against Carolina. Carolina controlled the flow, had the puck more, outshot and outchanced the Panthers by a pretty wide margin in that game. And to be honest, they made life easy on Freddie Anderson. Yeah, I know he got the shutout in that game, but I thought it was a pretty easy night for Freddie Anderson because, Carolina played very well defensively, but Florida just didn't have that juice that they normally do. And now they're coming back home off a road trip in an intense game like that. So I just don't love the situation or the price enough to take Florida, but I'm not taking Tampa, clearly, because I still don't trust them to beat Florida with the ownage that the Panthers have had over the Lightning in recent meetings. So this is actually a game I'm leaning toward maybe passing on, although I think I might jump in on a first period over here in this game, and maybe just the first period over. I lean to the full game, but if you look at first period overs, Tampa Bay is starting to trend to first period overs again. The last 10 or 12 games have been heavy to the first period over for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and with Florida off the shutout against Carolina the other night, I think the onus is going to be, let's get our offense going early in the game. So I think there's a good situational element to this, that over 1.5 in the first period makes sense. And then I agree, Dave, in terms of Duclair. Absolutely, you have to look at Anthony Duclair right now. We were on a bunch of goal props with Duclair in his final games with San Jose. And since he's been with Tampa, he's scored in each game since he's been with the Lightning. So, it's absolutely a good look as far as I'm concerned for Anthony Duclair for a goal, and against one of his former teams, obviously, the Florida Panthers. So definitely Duclair. It's actually one of my favorite props of the entire board today, Anthony Duclair. The way he's been producing, the way he's been scoring, and now you get to go up against your former team, which always stokes the fires of motivation for any player. Zach, what do you think here? Battle of Florida, Lightning, Panthers.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be a good game. It's one that I definitely want to watch. So I think it's pretty hard to bet against Florida. Their record, even against their division outside of Tampa, is unreal. I think if you want to take a side on here, you'd have to take Florida. I'd probably go regulation. I don't know if I'm going to lay any money on it or not. I'm agreeing with you though, Ian. I think a first period over is a good bet. I don't really know about the full game over. I think this one's going to have a pretty good playoff type atmosphere. I know Florida, like you said, they take pride in these types of games. They take pride in those, number one for the East type games. They talk about it. So I think it's going to be a pretty good battled game. And maybe Tampa's starting to heat up here a little bit in the second half. Who knows? But it's pretty hard to trust them for sure. I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah, Florida, by the way, 4 straight overs for them as well. Coming into this matchup with the this is going to be, you know what, this is actually going to be, I'm going to make it official that it's going to be over trifecta, but I am going to veer more toward a higher percentage of the overall amount on the first period over. I think first period both teams to score actually might be something to look at here, because I think the last time they played, both teams scored in the first period. It was that 9-2 thrashing by the Panthers over the Lightning back on February 17th, a month ago, and it was 4-1 Florida after the first period of that game. Tampa Bay will play better, and I think the schedule is a little bit in their favor as opposed to Florida here for this game. But I do like first period both teams to score. I do think that's got a good chance here. Especially we saw it the last time these two teams met. Both teams finding the back of the net in the opening period. What do you think here, Terry? Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, if Florida had won that game against Carolina, I probably wouldn't be on this play, but I'm taking the Panthers on the puck line here, plus 145, plus 150. Kind of like the Rangers, I see this as a pissed off Panthers team coming in here. This Tampa Bay team, yes, they're playing better, but I still don't believe in them. This Panthers team is the best team in the East, off a really embarrassing, horrible loss at home here against their biggest rival. As he said, they won 4 games in a row against the Lightning. I like it them to make it 5 here and win this by multiple goals.
All right. And by the
Not
way,
much props here for me though.
yeah, there's not a ton other than Duclair on the Tampa Bay side of the equation. The one thing about Florida and why they're not, for me at least in this game, not the greatest player prop type of team today for me is because I like the situations where we're getting the player that's moving up the lineup, and their lineup's been pretty stagnant here for the last few games. They've kept it pretty similar. Tarasenko, Barkov, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Bennett, Tkachuk. Like there's been no change. So you're not getting that change that I look for. From a value standpoint. Aaron Ekblad, of course, remains out, and we do have confirmation Vasilevsky and Bobrovsky in net here in this game. And actually, Jonathan Quick confirmed in net for the New York Rangers here. That's exactly why there's been some money come in on the Pittsburgh Penguins that Jonathan Quick has been in. And we've noted that Jonathan Quick hasn't been as good in the back half of the season after that incredible start. But he did have a really good game last time against New Jersey. You know, he had a couple games where he gave up 4 goals, Columbus, Montreal. Last game was that win against New Jersey. He played very well. 1 goal allowed on 20 shots for the New York Rangers against New Jersey. So that explains why the money's come in on the or come against the Rangers a little bit. Betting market's not a big fan of Jonathan Quick. Although in this matchup against Pittsburgh, flighty as can be, I still think they're capable. All right, next up, the rest of the games, by the way, actually Tampa Bay and Florida is an evening game, early evening game. But the rest of the games are right at in the primetime window starting at 7 p.m. Eastern for the rest of the slate. And we will begin with, as far as the night slate is concerned, we'll begin with the matchup between there we go, San Jose, Columbus. Maybe I was hesitating because I didn't want to talk about this game. It is 2 pretty bad teams, but we got to talk about it. San Jose and Columbus. We've got Columbus minus 200 home favorites in this game, and the total sitting at 6.5 across the board here in this matchup. I haven't done a whole lot with this game yet. I mean, I thought I took my shot with San Jose the other night. They lost to Pittsburgh. This is obviously a team that they're capable of beating, but again, with Krona in net. And Krona's been a bit of an enigma here because he's been kind of good start, bad start, good start, bad start kind of pattern lately. And he's off a bad start against Pittsburgh. It makes you think maybe this is the night for the good start from Magnus Krona. But overall, I just don't see a lot that I'm overly excited about from as far as goaltending quality is concerned out of this guy. On the flip side, you've got Danil Tarasov in net for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's actually been a little bit better lately. There's no question. He entered the game against Montreal, and he shut out the Canadiens after Merzlikins gave up 3 goals. The problem is Columbus didn't score any, and they ended up losing 3-0. He's actually given up 3 goals or less now in 6 straight starts coming into this one. So he's definitely fared better. Columbus should win. You know, they've been better at home. They coughed it up against Ottawa the other night. That was a bad one. And that's why I can't get involved with Columbus either. You know, minus 200. I know they have those great home wins against Edmonton and Vegas, but, you know, they lose to Ottawa at home, kind of an element where, you know, a team they should have beat, especially when they beat Detroit or Vegas and Edmonton at home, and they couldn't beat Ottawa and they blow a 2-0 lead. That's not a team I'm looking to lay minus 200 with, but I don't want San Jose again with Krona in net. So it's going to be a pass for sure from a side perspective here in this game. If anything here, I'll maybe look at an over and maybe a Jackets team total over. But I probably prefer just the over because I think San Jose can score a little bit here on Columbus, even with Tarasov's better games lately. So I might end up going bifecta here, over 1.5, over 6.5. And that's normally something I like to do at this time of year with 2 teams out of the playoffs, 2 bad teams, and maybe look for goals and no defense. Who wants to block a shot if you're a Shark or a Blue Jacket right now? I mean, you're going nowhere. You're going to risk injury for a team that's just going to golfing in a month from now. You're not doing that. What do you think here, Zach? San Jose, Columbus.
Yeah, I don't have anything in play on this one. With how many games are on the slate, I'm gonna pass on this one. I like your take on it though, with the teams being out of the playoffs, kind of, and high scoring. Maybe some guys get more opportunity, so ice opens up a little bit more. But yeah, I don't really have anything on here. Maybe a Nylander anytime goal. He's been kind of hot here and there. Obviously, had that hat trick a week or so ago, and that kind of thing. So maybe anytime goal for him. But other than that, nothing going on here for me.
You just basically said it, Zach. That's one of my props here in this game. You got to look at it. Alex Nylander is the poor man's Nylander is not as poor as he used to be. He's been fed. He's walked into a little bit of a windfall, if you will. He's eating nice meals now. He's living in a finer house. He's not that same poor man's Nylander he was just a couple of months ago. He has definitely played pretty solid hockey here for the Blue Jackets, and so solid that he's now up on the top line for Columbus. And he has got, in the last 8 games, 6 goals for this Columbus team. So terrific value still. It's definitely a prop that I like quite a bit here. One of my favorite props likely of the entire NHL slate here today is looking toward Alex Nylander. And again, you're getting this guy on the top line here for the Columbus Blue Jackets, enhancing that value even more for him to produce offensively here in this game. So yeah, Alex Nylander, definitely goal prop that'll be on the card for me. Terry, what do you think here? Sharks, Blue Jackets.
Yeah, not to sound like a copycat, but my only play in this game is Nylander over 3.5 shots on goal. I took the alternative shot total, so 4 or more shots on goal, and I got it for plus 225. Bet 365 for him to get at least 4 shots. 3 games in a row with 5 shots. As you said, Ian, who on the Sharks team is thinking we have to go and block shots today? Probably not very many players. So Nylander on the top line, shooting the puck a ton since he got traded to Columbus. I like him to get 4 shots plus 225. And that's my only play in this game. I would not go anywhere near a side in this one.
And I'd actually consider a couple Sharks too, like Zetterlund. Zadina has been good lately. I mean, there's a couple players that are starting to pick it up for San Jose production-wise. So those are some props maybe to look at on their side for this game tonight. All right, the next game is Philadelphia and Boston. We've got the Bruins minus 200 home favorites here in this game. The total currently at 5.5, shaded to the over here in this game. I'm kind of tempted by Philly here after that brutal game against Toronto. You got to think they're going to be better here tonight. The Bruins, I know they've been pretty good, obviously, but they play with their food sometimes. They've not been immune to bad, games. They had a bad game against Pittsburgh and won because Pittsburgh was totally inept to take advantage. They had a bad game again against St. Louis, and that's the night that St. Louis did take advantage of a flat Bruins team for the second straight game. And then the Montreal game was one where, they won in overtime, but, it wasn't a dominant, performance by any stretch of the imagination for this Boston team. So, Philadelphia needs points desperately here. They got Felix Sandstrom in net tonight. And, after what I saw from Ersson the other night, maybe he needs a break because he's played pretty well for them, but last few games there's been sloppy rebound control. There's been a couple of goals that go in on him that shouldn't, and maybe they'll benefit from giving him a rest and going to Felix Sandstrom in net instead. Again, at the NHL level this year, he's been in 3 appearances backing up Ersson. 846 save percentage, 3.22 goals against average, nothing to write home about. We'll see how he fares here in this game. I'm going to do a small Flyers and draw split, and I'm also going to jump on a little over here. I think 5.5, just based on what we're seeing right now from Flyers here right now, where their offense is better than people think it is. And I think at times we haven't seen that same strong, great Flyer defense. We certainly didn't see it in Tampa last weekend, and we didn't see it against Toronto, where it was just they got in penalty trouble. Their coverage broke down in the defensive zone far too often. So when you look at this total being 5.5, you think right now, I think there's a chance it can get up and over this number. It's 5.5. I think you look at the Bruins offensively, that they're capable. The Flyers as well have been better offensively and taken a step back a little bit with their defensive game. So we'll grab a little over 5.5 here, Flyers and Bruins. Not to mention, Sandstrom does have a 3.22 goals against average. And if you look at Jeremy Swayman, last time we saw him, he gave up 4 goals to St. Louis, and he's given up 3 or more goals. Jeremy Swayman, believe it or not, if you count it up, Jeremy Swayman has given up 3 or more goals in 6 of his last 8 starts. So you put those two factors together, and I think there's a chance we can get this game up and over a very modest 5.5 total. Zach, what do you think here, Philly and Boston?
Yeah, I think I'm going to side here with the Bruins. I think they're a pretty deadly team at home. I think their stars are going to shine today. So I'm going to go with Bruins first period, and I'm going to kind of split that almost with Bruins on the spread -1.5. The value is pretty similar there. So I think it's going to be a Bruins day. So that's kind of where my head's with it. And with Sandstrom in net, I don't know if I have too much confidence in him. So that's where my plays are at.
I get the feeling Flyers are live, and Flyers are going to make this a very tough game on Boston because they also have the general is back leading the troops again, John Tortorella. The suspension is over. He'll be back behind the bench tonight. They had their little fun and games with Rocky Thompson and Brad Shaw and those assistants that had to man the bench and take over. Now the general's back. And he's got to get the troops back in line. So we'll see how it plays out. But speaking of playing out, Buffalo has just scored 1-0 on the Detroit Red Wings. Buffalo Sabres get the lead on Detroit. Terry, what do you think here? Philadelphia, Boston.
Yeah, I'm sure it's the same thing with you guys. That there's one team that everyone has that team that they just kind of struggle with. And for me, it's the Flyers. For some reason, I bet against the Flyers. They come out and have a great game. I bet against, or like whatever happens, I'm on the wrong side with the Flyers. So I'm staying away from them from side perspectives. But as Rocco says in the chat, I'm on that. A Pasternak point, Zaka point, parlay +125. You can get Zaka for -115 to get a point. But if he's getting a point, so is Pasternak. So I like the plus money. So same game parlay, Pasternak and Zaka both to get a point, +125. My only play in this game.
All right, yeah. I basically cycle through the same Bruins every time I talk Boston. DeBrusk and Zaka and Geeky. You know, those are the three that I think have great value. We know Marchand and Pasternak, they can explode on any given night. But I'm talking about the value and the price on the props for certain players. And to me, it's been Geeky, it's been DeBrusk, and it's been Zaka lately for the Boston Bruins. For Philadelphia, you know, I think there's going to be some lineup shakeups. It wouldn't shock when you have a game like that against Toronto the other night. And credit to Toronto, it was a great spot for Toronto because they were off since Saturday. You could tell they had tons of energy in that game against Philadelphia, and they capitalized on a good spot, good situation for them. Forster's back on the top line with Frost and Tippett. Anyone on that top line might be the best options here for the Philadelphia Flyers, especially Forster, who, again, I've been impressed with him. Yeah, Tage Thompson did get the Sabre goal, by the way. I just wanted to point that out. We didn't cash any of our props there on that goal. We didn't get a Byron point. We did not get a Benson goal. So that's what we're looking for in that game. All right, next up, we've got another terrific hockey game here on this Saturday slate. This is definitely one of the games of the entire day. The Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. We've got Carolina -130, road favorites. The total sitting at 6, shaded to the over in this game. Give me the draw. I don't want the side. I think it's too tough to call. I think it's going to be a good hockey game. I think it's got a good chance for overtime. Carolina, that was a great bounce back from them after a really tough loss to the Rangers, 1-0 at home. They smacked down the red-hot, surging, defending Eastern Conference champion, Florida Panthers. That was a game clearly circled, though. They're always going to get up for Florida. Every single game now since they got knocked out and swept by the Florida Panthers in the Eastern Conference final last year. I get a little bit of a concern here tonight, though, because people dismiss Toronto, and rightfully so. I mean, you can't compare these two blue lines. You got to take Carolina's blue line for sure. There's no question about that. Top to bottom, 1 through 6, much deeper, much stronger. But these Leafs, all of a sudden, you know, they've put some marquee wins on the board, you know, against some decent competition. That's why it's just, to me, probably a few weeks ago or a month ago, maybe I'm interested here in Carolina. But, I give Toronto some credit here that they've found ways to win. Now, is this the night maybe some of these injuries catch up to them? Because they're still without Mitch Marner. He's not back tonight. Calle Yarncroke is out. He got injured in the Philadelphia game. So there's going to be some lineup tweaks here for Sheldon Keefe. But we do have some terrific value as a result. Domi and McMahon are on the second line. Both decent options. Robertson and Nyes with Tavares, who's very good at finding and facilitating for his line mates. Robertson back in the lineup, and Robertson's one of those guys, he often scores when he jumps back in the lineup after he's been out for a period of time. Robertson and Nyes worth a look. And then the big value, if this is indeed true, and I have no reason to think it isn't based on the line combinations I'm seeing at RotoWire, Pontus Holmberg, the big Swede, is going to be on the top line tonight with Tyler Bertuzzi and Austin Matthews. And if that's true, there's outstanding value on Pontus Holmberg, who actually scored against Philadelphia in the last game in that Leaf victory. So there's some really good value looks for player props and specifically for goal props for the Toronto Maple Leafs with all these line changes due to the injuries that Sheldon Keefe is putting together. For Carolina, they're not without injuries too. Teuvo Teravainen's out. Jack Drury's day-to-day, and that's unfortunate for Teravainen because he was playing very well with Aho and Svechnikov. Jesper Fast is taking that spot on the top line with Aho and Svechnikov. So he's got the value, in my opinion, for Carolina. Jesper Fast up on that top line for the Hurricanes tonight with Aho and Svechnikov taking the place of the injured Teuvo Teravainen. Kuznetsov got off the schneid with Carolina the other night against Florida. So maybe, and he talked about how happy he is and how much more comfortable and how he's just enjoying this experience of a second life, if you will, in the NHL, Kuznetsov, since being traded from Washington to Carolina. So there's something to that. And maybe he's going to play, free and easy. Confidence is going to come back. So, yeah, I think Kuznetsov props make sense. Situationally, he scored the other night. And Natchez, I say Natchez every game. So, absolutely, I think you could look in that direction as well. But Fast, Kuznetsov are my favorite two props for Carolina. And then, like I said, for Toronto, Holmberg's got great value. McMahon and Domi on the second line with Nylander, value. Nyes with Robertson. Nyes and Robertson, I should say, with Tavares value. So I like the draw here. I don't want to bet against either side in this spot, but I do think it's a close game, competitive game, very good game, and I like the draw here in this one. Yes, Toronto's wearing their green jerseys tonight. They do this every year. The home game right around St. Patrick's Day, which is, of course, tomorrow. They wear those green Toronto St. Pats. It's actually the jersey of the Toronto St. Pats, which was the name of the team way before they even became the Toronto Maple Leafs. So from that standpoint, they're going to be wearing their green and white jerseys, their Toronto St. Pat's throwback jerseys tonight. I'm not saying they're going to win just because of that, but if I'm not mistaken, more often than not, they've played well in those jerseys with around this St. Patrick's Day home game. I'm not saying that's reason enough to bet Toronto because Carolina to me is still the better team, and a great goaltending matchup, which is why I don't like over. I'd lean under, actually. Kochekov's been amazing. Samsonov is playing outstanding for an extended period of time. This Russian battle in net should be fun to watch. Ilya Samsonov versus Pyotr Kochetkov tonight. What do you think here, Zach? Carolina, Toronto.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough here to pick a side, like you said, but I think I'm gonna lean towards the Canes on this one. It's kind of getting into that crunch time, and both these teams are looking for wins, but I'm liking the Canes here on the road. I'm also going to take the first period over. Like you also said, I'm not too confident with the full game over, but I always like these hot starts in games, and with teams with some firepower like these two teams have, I think first period over is a good play in this one.
Ryan says Jarvis will move up well, we'll see. RotoWire doesn't always get it right. Let's keep that in mind. It's just what I'm seeing there right now is Fost up on that top line for the Carolina Hurricanes. So maybe that changes. Again, check pregame. The pregame skate 30 minutes before puck drop. That's usually when you get finalized line combinations. Because right now they've still got Jarvis with Martin, Nuke, and Stahl. So keep an eye on that. That changes everything. Obviously, if Jarvis is in that top line spot, I'd go Jarvis props ahead of Fost props. But again, keep that in mind. Yeah, it's Freddie. I thought it was going to be Anderson tonight, maybe just because, he used to be a Leaf. But it's Pyotr Kochetkov. And look, Anderson's played well since he's been back, but He also hasn't been peppered with shots. And you know how I feel about Kochetkov. I still feel he's better and the long-term guy before Anderson at this point. What do you think here, Terry, with this one? Canes, Leafs.
Yeah, I locked in Canes minus 110 last night. So a little bit of movement here now, minus 130. Don't love it as much at minus 130. Don't really like hearing that Teravainen is out either. But I like the Canes here. Just not a team that I want to fade. I think Kuznetsov, Gensel, just that extra line is really big for the Canes. So I like the Canes money line, and after the show, I'm going to be pulling the trigger on Svechnikov goal plus 250. I didn't realize it was that high of a price, so I'll take that. He's got goals in 4 of his last 5 games. Plus 250 is a great price. So Svechnikov goal, Canes win for me in this one.
Yeah, Samsonov's fine. There was a little scare apparently at practice this morning, but he's good. He's fine. Nothing significant. No injury. Just looked like it could have been something, but it's not. He's in. Confirmed. So yeah, Samsonov and Kochetkov, the goaltending here tonight in this game should be a good one. Hockey Night in Canada's got one hell of a doubleheader. This game and then a game that we'll get to later in the show as well. Next up, we've got Montreal and Calgary. Calgary minus 160, home favorites. The total in this game sitting at 6 shaded to the over. Gosh, I've got the voices of our friend John Massey, one of our really truly greatest viewers and listeners of the show. He is a hilarious guy. I've got the voice of him in my head when I break down this game, saying this is where the Calgary Flames, flame it up, and in a bad way. This is where the Calgary Flames shit the bed. In spots like this, where, they're coming off a huge game against Vegas, kind of cools the waters for a little bit after that brutal road trip where they're giving up goals left and right, and they're struggling mightily to keep the puck out of their own net. All kinds of problems and difficulties they had, obviously, defensively, giving up at least 4 goals to their opponent until that game against Vegas. But if you watch that game, I talked about it yesterday in the recap of Thursday's card. Vegas they had nothing physically. They had nothing in that game. It felt like they were zombies in that game, the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Calgary Flames took advantage of that. I'm taking Montreal here. This is your classic Calgary Flames here. John Massey would be saying this too in the chat right now if he were around. He's in Ireland right now, by the way, probably drunk as fuck. And having fun over there. So we wish him well. We hope he has a good time there over in Ireland. But he'd be saying the same thing. This is where the Calgary Flames spit the bit. When they are a bigger favorite and they are expected to win against a lesser foe, this is where they struggle. This is where they don't get the job done. So I'm going to just because of that, I'm taking a little bit on Montreal. Obviously, it's nothing that I'm running to the window to bet big amounts on, but give me Montreal here, plus 140. And I'll say this about Montreal. They've been competitive in most games. This week, they beat Columbus. They lost a tough one to Toronto that was back and forth. I thought they played well enough to beat Toronto last Saturday. They beat Columbus at home. They take Boston to overtime. It looks like Caden Primo will be in net. If he's in net, like he was spectacular against Columbus. It was probably the best game I've seen him play, 40 saves in that game. I'm going to come back to the Montreal team total over as well in this game because, look, I'm not totally sold on the Calgary blue line based on one game because, Vegas didn't show up. You can get Montreal team total over 2.5 minus 135. So a split between that and the money line on the Montreal Canadiens in this game. For me, I'm going to dare this Calgary blue line to be good again. And I don't know if they were good so much as Vegas was totally shit, totally like asleep at the wheel the other night against the Calgary Flames. So Montreal money line and team total over 2.5 split. I lean to the over bifecta as well in this game because I've been on that a bunch with Calgary, and I'll probably get in on that for something. But primarily, I like the Montreal side of those looks more than the over bifecta, which is the money line and the team total over 2.5 split in this game. Zach, what do you think here? You know this very well. You're a Flames fan. You know this is what they do. This is like the San Jose game at home weeks ago. They were that big favorite and they lost at home to the Sharks. What do you think here, Canadiens Flames?
Yeah, I agree with you a bit for sure. The Flames seem to always surprise me with what my opinion is going to be of the game. So I usually don't really pick a side. I might even sprinkle a little bit on the draw on this one just because have a little money in play on it. But yeah, it's definitely probably a spot where it'd be good to think about taking the Canadians. I'm not exactly sure who's in net for the Flames. Wolf played pretty solid against Vegas for some of the saves that he had to make. Gave the Flames a good chance to win. Obviously, Vegas didn't have much going on other than a few of the chances that they had from the Flames breakdowns. But yeah, I'm not going to pick a side really on this one. So Flames, Canadians draw, and then hopefully that hits. That's about it for me, I think.
All right, there we go. Flames, Habs draw.
Maybe a little Sharon Govich anytime goal. He's been a good bet for that too. So.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, if you're going to bet someone to score a goal right now for Calgary, it's a good idea to start and end with him.
Or even really Blake Coleman. He's sneaky.
Yeah.
He got good value too, but.
Yeah, I like the draw look. The draw, believe it or not, the draw is cashed in 2 of the last 4 meetings. One of the meetings last year in Calgary, or 2 years ago, I think it was, in Calgary, Montreal won 5-4 in overtime. Montreal has actually won 3 in a row in Calgary, if you can believe it. April 26, 2021, Montreal had a 2-1 win at the Saddledome. March 3rd, 2022, that 5-4 overtime win at the Saddledome. And then December last year, 2-1 Montreal at the Saddledome. So they've actually won 3 in a row at the Saddledome. Yeah, just strengthens the case, in my opinion. Yeah, Montreal plus 140, team total over 2.5. They're live, in my opinion. What do you think here, Terry? Montreal, Calgary.
Couldn't agree more. Montreal is my dog of the day. I got them for plus 150 last night. They've had success in Calgary, but just against Calgary as well. 5-1 in the last 6 games between the teams. I think we can probably agree that the Flames were a stronger team for those matchups, obviously with the selling they've done at the deadline. And this Canadiens team is not there yet, but they're starting to improve with some young guys. And I just think the Flames should not be minus 160, minus 170 in this spot against Montreal. This isn't San Jose they're facing. This Montreal team has been scrappy lately. Primo played fantastic. I'm glad to see that he should be in net for this one. And yeah, my dog of the day is the Canadiens money line here.
All right. We all kind of seem to agree that it's a vulnerable favorite here in the Calgary Flames. Yeah, Juraj Slafkovsky, Josh Waugh, Alex Newhook. Those are my 3 props. We've been betting those 3 in particular quite a bit for Montreal. Probably go back to that. Well, for Calgary, as Zach mentioned, Igor Sharangovich, maybe Matt Coronado too. He's got ability. Finally scored the last game. I could maybe see him chipping in, and he hasn't done much since that suspension, but he's still up on the top line with Hubie and Nazem Kadri, and that of course is Martin Pospisil for the Calgary Flames. Yeah, the first period over is no good in both games. I only had the first period over in the Sabres game, so that was just disappointing. That fell short. But I do have Buffalo, and they're up 1-0. I still have the full game over. I haven't given up on that. You know, we could open up in the second and the third period. And I have the Islanders money line. So all in all, could be better, could be worse with the so far with the way things stand in those 2 early games. All right, next up, we've got Minnesota and St. Louis. We've got the Wild minus 125 road favorites. The total in this game, 5.5 shaded to the over. You know, that's the beauty of being a high volume bettor. You know, I'm so immune to a betting loss. I really am. Like, it's just, it's one of 100, one of 1,000 that I'll probably have in the next, weeks, months, because I'm such a high volume bettor. I got no time to dwell on a losing bet. It's just, okay, it lost. What's next? Even the wins too. I celebrate for a couple minutes, like, okay, what's next? That's the mentality you have to have when you're a high volume approach in the betting from a betting standpoint, like me. But anyway, let's move on. We've got Minnesota, St. Louis, Minnesota minus 125 road favorites, 5.5 the total. I do want to mention Alex B. Smith. I should have mentioned this earlier. He is on 2 bets today. He posted them on Twitter. Obviously, look, he's got other issues, much more important issues to focus on right now, going back home to be with his mom. But he was on Buffalo money line in the early game here today, and this is his best bet. I'll just say it right now, and I'll reiterate it at the end of the show. Wild Blues first period over for Alex B. Smith here in this game, minus 105 with the Wild and Blues first period over here in this game. The only thing I'm concerned about is if Minnesota gets the lead, they went back to that old, we shut it down and we really tighten it up. We park the bus. That's what they did against Anaheim. Now they're playing against a better team than Anaheim here, St. Louis. Marc-Andre Fleury in net, Jordan Binnington in net for St. Louis. Joel Eriksson-Ek, by the way, out for the Minnesota Wild once again. He missed the Anaheim game, lower body injury, won't play tonight. But he may join the team for the remainder of their road trip out in California, according to a lot of reports. So there's a chance Eriksson-Ek's going to be able to return in the foreseeable future. We'll see how this one plays out. I'm pretty sure what made Alex like this first period over more than anything else is probably some kind of strong first period over series history between the two teams, which I believe is legit, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, the last meeting was 3-1 St. Louis. That one did not go over in the first, but I think the majority of the games before that, you had a handful and a ton of first period overs between those two teams. So, yeah, I could see that being the case here. Over bifecta, says Matt Robinson in the chat right now. Good to see him. But, yeah, as far as this game, yeah, first period over. I'd sprinkle at 5.5, a little bit over 5.5 here as well with the Wild and the Blues in this game. I'm not involved from a side perspective here. The Blues, to their credit, they beat Boston. They beat a LA team that we just saw hammer Chicago last night. So they are not, waving the white flag right now as far as the season and, making some kind of push for the playoffs. And we know Minnesota's still very much in it from a wild card standpoint. So this might be a draw look here as well as the over bifecta for me. What do you think here in this one? You know what? Because he's the Wild fan, we'll start with Terry on this one. Minnesota and St. Louis.
Yeah, well, these, like you said, these teams just faced each other in St. Louis not too long ago. The Blues won 3-1. And since then, something happened with that game. But since then, the Wild have been hot. 5-0-1 in the last 6. Kirill Kaprizov has really lit things up since then. And if you look at it, since the All-Star break, the number 1 goal scorer in the NHL since the All-Star break is Kirill Kaprizov. He's been on fire. Ryan Hartman was just starting to heat up. And it's not just, he's got a point 4 of his last 5 games, but it's not just his point production. You can see it. He's skating faster. He just seems more motivated. And that was before he got put with Kaprizov. I love Kaprizov anytime goal. I love Ryan Hartman over half a point. Ryan Hartman and Binnington do not like each other. So there could be some fireworks there. Also, referees, if Flower and Binnington try to go at it here, don't stop.
That's what I was saying. This is our first
Everybody wants to see that
matchup, I think, since that night where they almost dropped the gloves. Like, get out of their way and let them go if it gets heated again.
Yeah. And you know what? Because the Wild are trying to make the playoffs, I don't think Flower is going to do anything like that. But if it was to happen, I would want to see it. Yes, I'm on the Wild money line here. They are the better team here. I'm willing to say that. And obviously very hot since the last game against the Blues. This is a revenge game. And the Wild will do whatever it takes to win. They'll pull the goalie. John Hines has shown that he's not afraid to take risks here. I could see the draw here. I could see this game being a close game. But I like the Wild to win. Kaprizov goal, Hartman point. You can same game parlay those as well. I think the Wild get the job done here, but I think it's a close game.
All right, Wild money line for Terry. Zach, what do you think here in this one, Wild Blues?
Yeah, I'm going to jump on with Terry. Wild money line here. It's a big game for them. I think their stars are going to shine, like I like to say. So I'm hoping Wild money line, and might even lean a little bit towards the over in this one as well at 5.5. So.
Yeah, I like Hartman. Everyone's onto it. Yep, Hartman is definitely centering the top line here tonight. Kaprizov and Boldy with that unit. 2 goals in the last 3 games, points in 3 straight games for Ryan Hartman. So absolutely worth a look here in this game, especially given his spot in the lineup that you're going to see him have tonight. And you're right, St. Louis, someone mentioned it. We've talked about him. It's been unbelievable, uncanny. This little hot streak scoring-wise has been on. Excuse me, for the St. Louis Blues since in the last few games, even though he's playing on the 4th line, and that's Alexei Toropchenko. I mean, this is now what for him in the last 6-7 games? He scored 4 goals And he has goals in back-to-back games here for the St. Louis Blues. We've talked about him now a couple of times in a row as far as this show and the value you are getting with Toropchenko right now for the St. Louis Blues. So definitely, I like that value once again for him to find the back of the net tonight for St. Louis. He's probably the best prop right now to bet from a goal scoring standpoint, even more than some of these, Blues players on the top 6 that we've talked about all year, like Buchnevich and Thomas and Kyrou and Jake Neighbors. Right now, the value supreme is Toropchenko with 4 goals in the last 7 games at plus 550 to score a goal tonight for the Blues. So no doubt good value there and something we cashed with the last game, and we'll come back to it here tonight. All right, LA Kings, Dallas Stars. The Dallas here minus 160 home favorites, and the total 6 shaded to the under here in this game. Dallas with just a very disappointing result considering, how the third period ended against Florida in that game, and you couldn't get a better effort from them than that. Just a complete disappointment the other night against the New Jersey Devils. They'll be looking to bounce back here tonight against the LA Kings in this one. An LA team that they beat on the road just recently. David Riddick, by the way, and Scott Wedgwood going to be the goaltenders here in this game for their respective teams. Wedgwood actually got the nod in net the last time Dallas played LA, March 9th, a week ago in LA, and he played well. 1 goal, 25 shots, 4-1 win for the Dallas Stars. We'll see if he can better that here. Sagan and Dodonov remain out for Dallas. Of course, Arvidsson still out for LA. David Riddick in net for the Kings after Talbot pitches the shutout last night against the Chicago Blackhawks. David Riddick is actually coming off a shutout against the New York Islanders early this week. 3-0 win for him at home against the Islanders. We'll see if that can carry over here to tonight against the LA Kings, who had an offensive explosion last night by their standards against the Chicago Blackhawks. But with Arvid Soderblom in net, who, as we know, I don't feel strongly about his ability, and Alex despises the guy. He's been saying, cut Arvid Soderblom on Twitter X for like a month now, if not longer, saying, get him off my hockey team. That's how bad things have been with him. This is an interesting one. If you actually look, Dallas has owned the Kings, 5 wins in their last 6 games. I don't trust LA on a back-to-back, but for what I put my faith in Dallas against New Jersey, and they were awful. And they just didn't have it. The motor wasn't cranking for them that night. So I don't want anything to do with a side here in this game. I don't want Dallas at this with Wedgwood in net at this price, not a chance. And I don't want LA on a back-to-back. This is probably a draw sprinkle, if anything. I might take a shot with the over by Fecta here. Kings, Stars over, and maybe both teams to score, since Dallas just can't help themselves give up a goal early in the game. Maybe over trifecta here, because look, we're talking about Riddick and Wedgwood here. We are talking about goalies that at times can play very well, but are very, very inconsistent, very erratic. And we're talking about a total that's 6 shaded to the under, and I'm actually seeing at a couple of books here. The Kings and Stars total is at 5.5 at FanDuel. 5.5 at the score bet, 5.5 at Betway. Now it's about minus 135, so you got to lay a little bit of a price, but I'm happy to actually minus 128 at Patano, the Ontario book. That I like. I like that number and that price, minus 128 for an over 5.5. With Wedgwood and Riddick, I'll take my chances. We can get to 6 with these two teams combined. What do you think here, Zach? LA Kings, Dallas Stars.
Yeah, I'm on the Dallas Stars side here. I got Dallas Stars in regulation. Considering Dallas Stars first period, haven't laid any money yet on that. Not too confident with the over quite yet. I don't know if LA is going to be able to produce enough to get there, so I'm going to stay away from that. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be riding on the Dallas side here. I was on their side against the Devils as well, and was very disappointed. So I'm hoping for a bounce back here.
Yep. I think that they should want to bounce back. That nobody should be happy with that New Jersey effort the other night for the Dallas Stars. But LA's trying to get their game going. It's a revenge spot, but it is back-to-back on the road, so it kind of cancels out. It's just there's too many factors going up both and for and against really both teams in this game. So that's why it's totally off the totally staying off the side here in this game. Just looking at really that over trifecta here is what really the main part of interest. The fact that I can get over 5.5 minus 128 at Patano Sportsbook for a Riddick versus Wedgwood matchup. If this is 2-1, 3-1, and I lose, I'll eat it. But like I say, I'll take a 5.5 any day with two of these kind of goalies. They're mid. These two goalies, they're mid. I know they've been good at times. Riddick's been pretty decent at times with the Kings. Wedgwood can play pretty well at times, but I think we look at this matchup here, we can get 6 out of these teams. You just hope LA, gets confidence from last night and doesn't go back into one of these ruts where they score just 2 goals again, which, again, they're capable of those games where the offense isn't firing. What do you think here, Terry? King Stars.
Yeah, I love this game, actually. This is the same kind of type of game that I'm looking at the Rangers, Florida. We got Dallas off a very bad game. Looking to bounce back here. Dallas 11-3 in the last 14 games between these teams. The Stars love to play LA. Stars love to play California teams in general, but they've had a lot of success against the Kings. LA 2-7 on the second night of back-to-backs this year. They do not play well on back-to-backs, traveling from Chicago to Dallas. I don't really mind that Wedgwood's in net. Ottinger's kind of been all over the place. So I don't mind that Wedgwood gets a start here. I like Dallas on the puck line plus 160. I think they take care of business here. This Kings team doesn't like to face the Stars, and they don't like back-to-backs. So it's kind of a perfect storm also with the Stars being off a bad loss. I like them to take care of business in this one. And then player props, Jamie Benn assist. He's got an assist in 6 of his last 7 games, and I got that for plus 170, which is just crazy.
Wow.
So I'll take him to get an assist here, plus 170, Stars to win by margin.
That's a quality find right there by Terry Edelman. That's plus 170 for Jamie Benn to get an assist, and he's had one in 6 of the last 7 games. So you're playing the percentages. 6 of the last 7, you're not supposed to be getting plus 170, but you are on that. So, and that's a product of him playing with those young kids. I'm telling you, they've stimulated Jamie Benn playing with those 2 great young kids of theirs, and it's gotten him rolling again a little bit. Fired him up, starting to get him. Jamie Benn needs to have things set. He has to have the table set. He's got to be working with good players and has to be in that mindset where, hey, the adrenaline's pumping and adrenaline pumping right now for Jamie Benn. So it's no surprise that it coincides with him playing with Johnston that he's got this little streak here, assist in 6 of the last 7 games for the Dallas Stars. And yeah, Johnston props, absolutely. I bet Johnston props every game. He's just been that reliable all season, and especially as of late. And then for LA, I'd look at Kempe and Fiala. I've talked about it ad nauseum. Those are the 2 guys that have been really the most consistent offensively for them of late. All right, next up, we've got Nashville and Seattle. Nashville minus 120, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. This Nashville team continues to play just absolutely tremendous hockey overall. A big win for them against the Winnipeg Jets on Wednesday night. In that game, Saros played very solid in net. We'll see if they can keep it rolling here against Seattle. This has been a tough couple of games for Seattle because you look at what could have been. They have that brutal game against Vegas where they're up, 4-2 in the third period. Vegas comes back, ties it late in the third, and then Vegas wins it in overtime, denying Seattle of the full 2 points, and Seattle only gets 1 point out of that game, and then they lose in regulation the other night against Washington. That can't happen. You've got to bounce back and beat that Capitals team at home with Washington on a back-to-back on the road if you're going to really hope to be a playoff team, and they were not able to do that. And again, that is something that would be very concerning if I am a fan of the Seattle Kraken, who look, they are now 9 points back of the second wild card Vegas Golden Knights going into this game, 12 points back of the Nashville Predators, who have the first wild card in the Western Conference. So things have become a lot tougher for them. It's an uphill battle now. I mean, 68 points. I think it's fair to say they're not making it at this point, the Seattle Kraken. This week has been too damaging. If they're honest with themselves, the players, they're going to say all the right things, and they have been. We got to get on a run. We're not giving up on things, but easier said than done with the kind of losses they've had this week. The 2 points that went by the wayside against Vegas, The loss to Washington the other night, which cannot happen when you're this much in the rears of the teams you're trying to catch. So give me Nashville here, minus 120. They're just the better team right now. They're red hot. I think the Kraken are they're cracked. They're cracked as far as their playoff hopes are cracked. They're diminishing. They're falling apart at the seams here. These playoff hopes for them. It's just a very cheap price, in my opinion, home or away, to back one of the hotter teams in the NHL right now. So Nashville minus 120, and a little bit on the Nashville Predators team total over, because most of the time I bet Nashville these days, they've gotten to 4 goals in the majority of their wins. So we'll do a little split there. Nashville money line with team total over in this game. What do you think here, Zach? Nashville, Seattle.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it'd be pretty hard to bet against Nashville right now. One of the hottest teams in the NHL, finding ways to get points every night. I think they're going to get the win tonight, so I'm going to side with Nashville on this one. Not too confident on the total on this one, but I do like the team total for Nashville, so I'm going to jump on that as well.
All right, good stuff. And like I said, Nashville, they're up to 20 wins on the road right now. They actually are another team with a better road record than home record, Nashville. So it's one of those teams, don't be scared to back them on the road. They're very capable of getting the job done. And like I said, this has been a tremendous run for them. They're on a 13-game point streak now coming into this game tonight against the Seattle Kraken, which means if you actually were to bet the draw in this game, you'd put yourself in a position where if you have Nashville in the draw, you're in a position where neither of those bets, you can't lose both of those bets if this Nashville point streak continues tonight, and it goes to 14 straight games with a point. So if you want a little security, if you're a little worried about Nashville, you can take the draw. And, like I say, they have not lost in regulation in 13 games. So keep that in mind. As far as props, yeah, it's the same guys, right? It's Forsberg, it's O'Reilly, it's Nyquist, it's anyone on that top line. It's Tommy Novak, it's Evangelista, who have stepped up in the bottom lines lately for the Nashville Predators. So, I know we regurgitate the same shit, with so much of these props, but there's a reason for that. It's the same players that are just piling on the points and the production right now for the Nashville Predators. What do you think here, Terry? Predators, Kraken.
Yeah, I don't quite understand the price here. I get it, the Preds are on the road, but this team is just consistent. They have been consistent. And I was on them against Winnipeg as a dog. I couldn't believe the price there. I don't really understand the price here, but I'm on Preds money line. They're a team I'm going to continue to ride. They continue to make me money. And then people laughing in the chat saying, "Oh, the Wild fan is betting Dallas." Well, I'm betting Nashville too, and I don't mind betting division rivals. It's about making money. And this Predators team, along with some other division rivals, have been making me money lately. So I'll back them here. Like you said, Ian, Philip Forsberg, a point in 9 of his last 10 games. I love that as a parlay piece. Roman Josi, a point in 8 of his last 10. You can go that way as well. 2 Kraken players that are playing pretty well recently, Oliver Bjorkstrand and Yanni Gourde, both have points in 4 of their last 5. So they're pretty much the only guys in Seattle right now that are very consistent lately. So you could look at them if you wanted Kraken props, but this Predators team could very well shut down the Kraken here. And I don't see much offense from the Kraken. So give me Preds money line here in this one.
Yep. Nashville for Terry as well. Yeah, that's a good point about Tolvin in there, Cuban. Yeah, former Predator. If you're going to take a little shot on someone down the board goal wise for Seattle, Ellie Tolvanen, who used to be with Nashville. So I don't mind that look right now at all. No question about that. So that's not a bad player prop look there either in this game tonight. Grubauer should be in net. It's not confirmed. Saros isn't confirmed yet either for Nashville, but both of those guys are projected to be the starting goaltenders for this game. All right, this is another one of the games of the day. This is the second of the doubleheader on Hockey Night in Canada tonight. It's Colorado, Edmonton. What more can you say? It's 2 legit powerhouse teams in the Western Conference, 2 legit Stanley Cup contenders in the Western Conference going at it. Colorado, Edmonton. Edmonton minus 130. Home favorites, 6.5. The total in this game should be awesome. Really, really, this should be some kind of hockey game between these 2 teams. You look at it, Stuart Skinner in net for Edmonton. Alexander Georgiev projected as the netminder tonight for the Colorado Avalanche in this game. worth noting about Georgiev, and saw someone write an article about this earlier in the week, talking about Georgiev, and he's got himself a little home and road split thing going on with his performance this year. And if you look at it, it's probably a direct correlation as to why Colorado hasn't been nearly as good on the road, particularly defensively this year. I'm going to see if I can find these numbers, because I think it's a conversation worth having here as far as Georgiev going into this matchup here with the Avs and the Oilers, because we're pretty much assuming he's going to be in net here for them in this game tonight. But I think when you look at Georgiev's numbers this particular NHL season, I'm going to look at what it is here. And yeah, there's a bit of a split and a bit of a dip in some of his performances, home versus road, this particular season. I'm looking at it right now for this year in particular. Career splits, there we go, 2023, 2024. Here we go with the splits. Yeah, his home goals against, 2.44 goals against. His home save percentage is .911. His road goals against, 3.23, and his road save percentage this season, .892. There you go. Someone that follows the Avalanche, writes for them, noted that in an article, and that's something to watch for. And even they comeback win against Vancouver the other night, Canucks put how many goals by him quickly in that game? 3 early in the hockey game, the first half of the game. Georgiev has not been as good away from home. The team defensively really hasn't been as good away from home going into this game. So that's something to monitor moving forward here. I mean, it feels like we're going to see offense with these two teams tonight. It feels like kind of a Captain Obvious type of approach here in this game. But you start to look at what we've seen, especially the games in Edmonton between the teams. We've seen some higher scoring affairs. We saw, of course, the playoff series a couple of years ago in the conference finals. We'll see how this one plays out. But I think when you look at the way it's going right now with Colorado, look at them as far as their last 2 games on this road trip, for example. They both go over the total. I know they only give up 2 to Calgary, but they give up 3 to Vancouver. Vancouver had chances galore in that game, probably to have more than that. Colorado's won 5 in a row. Still, though, just 16-19 on the road compared to 26-6 at home. I'm going to, what I do like in this game, you got to look toward the draw. This is a draw that has to be, in my opinion, on your card for this Saturday night slate, because you look at the way things go here. We have seen overtime or a shootout between the Avs and the Oilers in 3 straight head-to-head meetings. 3 straight have gone past regulation here between the Avs and the Oilers, and I would not be one bit surprised to see more of the same here tonight in this game. So my favorite draw bet of the entire card is this one here, and you can get the draw as high as plus 380 at FanDuel. An excellent price with that. I think it's going to be one of those great competitive games, back and forth. Like I said, 3 straight overtime or shootout matchups between the Avs and the Oilers, and it would not surprise me to see more of the same. I'm also going to get in on an over trifecta here in this game with the over 1.5, over both teams to score, not over both teams to score, over 1.5 first period, both teams to score first period, and also the over in the full game between the Avs and the Oilers. What do you think here in this one, Zach? Arguably the game of the night for sure, Colorado, Edmonton.
Yeah, sure is for sure. I'm excited to watch it. I agree with you on the overtime look. That's kind of where my head was at. When these type of games come about, and there's a lot on the line for each team trying to prove themselves at the end of the season here. They usually are pretty tight. So I like the draw look here for sure. I think you got to kind of look at the big guys here for player props. Hyman, he's been on fire all year, really. McDavid points, McKinnon, Brantman, the whole 9 yards. I think I'm going to get pretty heavy on the player props in this game. I'm obviously hoping for the over looking at player props, but sometimes these games, they become really tight, tight-knit defensively. And the Oilers have proven, especially with the coaching change and Coffey back there, that they can win games different ways now. They don't have to win these big shootout games where it's 6-5, 4-3. They can win 2-1 games. They can win 3-1 games. So that makes me a little nervous for sure. But I think with the firepower with two of the top scorers in the NHL, I think we're going to see some tonight. So that's kind of where my head's at. But yeah, I can't really pick a side, so I like the draw on this one.
All right, liking the draw. I think the draw is a great bet. Like I said, I like the over trifecta, but there's something about it that is unsettling. Because both teams can play tight and play good defense when they want to and when they have the ability to. So keep that in mind. But like I said, and by the way, Matthias Ekholm missed the Washington game for Edmonton with an illness. He is to me one of their best defenders, and so as far as in his own zone defensively, he's one of the best they've got. And if you take him out of the lineup tonight in a game like this against Colorado, could open the floodgates a little bit. We get a back and forth affair and opens the opportunity for Colorado, especially on the power play, because Ekholm plays such a huge component of the Oilers' penalty kill. So if he doesn't play, that is a big blow to the blue line trying to defend this Colorado team. What do you think here, Terry? Colorado, Edmonton.
My favorite game of the night. I play the game I have the most plays in. So yeah, I'm on the draw plus 370. 4 straight overtimes between these teams. Colorado's gone to overtime in 2 of their last 3 games. Edmonton's gone to overtime in 2 of their last 5. Both teams playing really well right now. So the draw was just an easy bet. If you look at how these teams have played against each other, it's very one-sided. The Avalanche 9-1-1 in the last 11 meetings between these teams. You're going to give me this Avalanche team as a dog. I'm going to take it. I'm on the Avalanche here to get the job done. Nathan MacKinnon, anytime goal, plus 115. He has a goal in 7 of his last 8 games. I'm a streak better. I love to bet on streaks. I've been on MacKinnon for a few games here. I'll continue to take him. Valerie Nichushkin, a goal in 5 of his last 6, plus 200. Give me that as well. And then, yeah, I like the draw, and I like the Avalanche to get the job done in a close game here. I just have to take them as a dog with how they've been playing.
Yeah, I get it. I'm off the side here. I am. Let's be real. That's another reason, because I'm not taking Colorado, is because they haven't been as good on the road. And look, they've credit to them coming back against Vancouver. But, if Vancouver doesn't give up that goal late in the second period, we're not talking about a comeback win for the Avs. They're basically one more second, and it gets to 3-0 after the second period. There's probably no comeback for Colorado. But Vancouver opened the door for them, and they walked right through it. So credit to Colorado, though. That's why they're a Stanley Cup contender. They're never out of a game, especially if you're going to start getting in penalty trouble against them, like Vancouver did in the third period the other night. Yeah, as far as the props, obviously Nichushkin is at the top of the list, but there's a bunch of others too that are worth a look here, in my opinion, as well. But definitely Val Nichushkin, goal prop, assist prop. I'd even maybe sprinkle on over 1.5 points tonight, even over 1.5 goals. He's been that good since returning to the lineup for the Colorado Avalanche, no doubt. All right, we wrap this massive Saturday card up with our final game, the Washington Capitals and the Vancouver Canucks. Vancouver minus 230, home favorites, a total 6 here in this game across the board. I honestly think this is a Vancouver smack spot, in my opinion. We did see Washington get drilled by Edmonton 7-2 on Wednesday night. Credit to them on the back-to-back against Seattle Thursday night. Tough spot. They found a way to beat the Seattle Kraken in that game. But the way Vancouver had that game in the palm of their hands against against Colorado, up 3-0, they gave up that goal. I knew at that moment it was going to be, they've opened the door to trouble and a potential disaster here, giving up that first goal late in the second. 3-1. Next thing you know, they get in penalty trouble third period. Colorado takes advantage of it. They end up tying it 3-3. And then they win it in overtime with that goal, puck off the face of Big Val Nichushkin for the overtime winner. I think Vancouver responds here in this one. I'm going to go with Canucks first period puck line, Canucks full game puck line, Canucks team total over 3.5, and a little bit on that Canucks first period team total, which I've done this a couple of times with Vancouver this year. To jump on them early, you can get over 1 plus, 110, 120 at BetMGM, or you could take a shot with over 1.5. You'll get upwards of plus 200, plus 210 with that in this game as well. So, like I said, I definitely like those looks. You can make a case for the over too, simply because, Casey DeSmith with all due respect, even though he's capable, he is a downgrade from Thatcher Demko, who remains out for the next 2 weeks. But I get the feeling after blowing it against Colorado, there's a very big effort defensively as a team tonight from Vancouver, which is why I'm not sold on this going over I'm not sold on Washington getting more than 1 or 2 goals tonight. I'm really not. Even with DeSmith in net, I think this team tightens it up. They know they had a golden opportunity to beat Colorado the other night, and then penalty trouble and some miscues defensively kept them from winning that game. So, like I say, I think it's a good response spot here for the Vancouver Canucks tonight in this one. Zach, what do you think? Capitals, Canucks.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure. So I'm kind of following all those bets you pretty much said. The Canucks have been kind of up and down for how good they've been throughout the whole year. Talkett's been pretty vocal about it in a good way, I think. So I have confidence in them having a good game tonight. I love the first period for the Canucks. And I'm going to take Canucks -1.5 in this one as well. So that's kind of where my head's at.
All right, there we go. Yeah, I don't do many puck line splits, first period puck line, full game puck line, but I think this one fits the bill. I could see this being like 3-1, 4-1, or maybe a 5-1 for Vancouver, something like that in this game against the Washington Capitals tonight. It looks like, and like I said, obviously we know we're going to see Casey DeSmith for Vancouver, probably for Washington. I would think it's going to be Lindgren. They go back to him here tonight in this game, but again, that has not been confirmed as of yet. And again, this will be their third game in 4 nights on this road trip as well. Terry, what do you think here, Washington, Vancouver?
Yeah, so no play for me in this game, but I would be against you guys if I was pulling the trigger. I'd probably be looking at the draw. 4 of the last 7 meetings have gone to overtime between these teams. But it is a horrible spot for Washington, obviously being on the road for a while. The Canucks really should bounce back here in this one. I just don't want to take the puck line with them with Casey DeSmith. I just can't get there. But it won't shock me to see the Canucks win this game handily. They definitely should bounce back. Big slate today. This is one of the few games that I'm fine with passing on because I'll be paying attention to that Colorado game. So this one won't really have my attention.
That being said, as far as props here, Miroshnichenko and LaPierre for Washington, I would focus mostly on them for Vancouver. I've talked about how Hoaglander's been value laden up on the top line for them. I find when they're off a game, an unsettling game, Brock Besser often has a pretty big game. I just got to feel it's a Brock Besser night for Vancouver. I might not just go goal prop for him, but potentially for the Canucks, but also maybe over 1.5 goals potentially for Besser because he's had more than a few multi-goal games this season for the Vancouver Canucks. All right, great stuff. Huge Saturday slate, and obviously, as usual, a marathon Saturday show to go with it. We appreciate all of you tuning in. Hit the like button. Make sure you do that. And again, we have seen multiple instances now where, we've got basically, 25% of our viewing audience on a daily basis not subscribed to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the Ice Guys YouTube channel because we got to keep climbing. I know we're at 5,000 subscribers on the channel now, but we're not satisfied. We're going for 6, we're going for 7, and we're going for 10, hopefully at some point. So again, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and make sure you sign up at patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Again, we're going to have more Patreon exclusive live betcasts. And we announced this yesterday. Monday, we're going to have our daily show at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central, because we're going to do a Patreon exclusive live Q&A video, a live Q&A show at 2 p.m. Eastern on Monday with the short card. So again, if you're a Patreon member, on the page, post your question that you want to ask either me or Alex, and we will answer it. Although I do want to point out with Alex being, dealing with this family emergency, we may have to change the day, or maybe I will host it solo. We'll see. We may have to change the day, but as of right now, it's still on for Monday. We'll update you if we have to change it, but that's coming up on Monday. And again, on the Patreon page as a member, you get our daily sides totals and player props, goalie charts, totals charts, and more. And of course, as well, you get all our bonus content. So again, sign up and subscribe, just $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys. And our next betcast comes your way not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday, March the 26th, 10 days from now, 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's a really good NHL slate that night. This is a betcast that is free for all. It's for everyone. It's not just Patreon. So everyone will be invited to join us on this one. Tuesday, March 26th, 7 p.m. Eastern. Again, DM or email me or Alex for a spot on the betcast, and we will definitely send you the link for the betcast before it gets underway the night of Tuesday, March 26th. And of course, check out the Ice Guys store. Lots of great gear, lots of great merch available at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, it is time for Bargain Bin Special of the night and best bets to wrap up the show in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors, Boston Hemp Inc. All right, Boston Hemp Inc. Make sure you check them out. And again, you can get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys over at bostonhempinc.com. All right, it is time for Bargain Bin Special of the night. We got obviously a huge, monstrous Saturday slate to choose from. Zach, we'll start with you. Where are you headed for your Bargain Bin Special tonight?
I'm going to head to the Rangers and Pens game, and I'm going to go with Jack Roslovic, anytime goal. I think he's going to get one on the board here on the road for the Rangers, so that's where my head's at for that one today.
All right, he's been a popular consideration for the Bargain Bin Special since he's been on that, since he's been a Ranger, and since he's been on that top line. So Jack Roslovic, New York Rangers, plus 430 at FanDuel. Bargain Bin Special of the night for Zach Urban. Terry, what do you think here for your best bet of your Bargain Bin Special?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 2-player parlay in this one. Give me Kirill Kaprizov anytime goal. Yes, it had to give something with the Wild. Parlayed with Nathan McKinnon anytime goal. Plus 340 at BetMGM. Both have been on heaters. So I like McKinnon and Kaprizov both to score a goal. Plus 340.
All right, there we go. A nice little goal parlay there for Terry Edelman, his Bargain Bin Special of the night. And my Bargain Bin Special of the night for this slate, there's a lot of good choices, a lot of good options out there tonight as far as it's concerned. But I'm going to go with, and this is good from all angles. It fits the criteria. We're looking at plus 340 at BetMGM. He scored in back-to-back games for Tampa Bay. He was on fire before the trade from San Jose to Tampa Bay, and now he's playing against one of his old teams tonight as well, the Florida Panthers. Anthony Duclair, Tampa Bay Lightning, plus 340 for my Bargain Bin Special of the night. Anthony Duclair, Tampa Bay Lightning, plus 340, my Bargain Bin Special of the night for this Saturday slate. Best bets, Zach, what do you like for best bet here tonight?
For best bet today, I'm going to go to the Bruins and Flyers game, and I'm going to go Boston first period money line.
All right, there you go. Boston with the first period puck line is what you meant, but yeah, exactly. Minus a half, plus 150. First period puck line, Boston Bruins. Best bet for Zach Urban. Terry Edelman, great job filling in last minute for Alex. What do you like here for best bet?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Nashville Predators on the money line. They've been so consistent for such a long time now. I like them in Seattle. Minus 120 money line for Nashville.
All right, Nashville Predators minus 120 against the Seattle Kraken. Best bet for Terry Edelman. My best bet, I like the money line on them too, but I'm going to be the team. I'm going to go the team total route on them here instead with this best bet. Montreal Canadiens team total over 2.5. Again, it's only 2.5. We're only asking them to get 3 goals here in this game tonight against the Calgary Flames, who again finally had a better defensive game. I'd argue they got Vegas a bit flat the other night. And I got to see two good defensive efforts by this Calgary blue line, which for the majority of their time since Tanev and Hanifin got traded, they have not looked good. So I'm going to take Montreal team total over 2.5, -132. That is going to be my best bet here for this Saturday NHL card. That'll wrap up for this edition of the Ice Guys show. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button. We certainly send our thoughts and well wishes to Alex and his mom as he flies back home to Chicago to be with her, and we hope she gets better sooner rather than later. And a reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Zach Urban, for Terry Edelman, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back with you tomorrow on Sunday, same time, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.